here for the PlayStation 2. The best entertainment system to hit the world.
This is the Xbox, and so for the first time, let me now unveil Xbox.
Well, the wait is over. This is Nintendo DS.
Do you remember when opening a new video game felt like an adventure? When you would spend weeks lying to your parents about the rating of a game just so they would take you to GameStop and buy it for you, so you could get home just as fast, use your teeth, rip open the plastic, throw it in the console, and get ready to play. You had no updates, no day one patches, just pure excitement ready to go. I don't think anyone in the early 2000s truly knew what gaming was about to become. With Lord of the Rings redefining pop culture from 2001 to 2003, suddenly the love for dragons, elves, magic, and epic quest was no longer reserved for the nerds or the geeks.
We're playing D&D tonight. You want to come? Why?
This was a point in time where developers and players had no idea that the video game industry was about to take off in a way that nobody would have expected it to. The golden era of gaming was a time where games just worked. You bought them, put them into your console or PC, and boom, everything was there ready to go. No waiting for a day one patch, no worrying about overpriced special editions or pre-order bonuses, and no endless stream of microtransactions. Games were full, immersive experiences from the moment you started playing. You didn't have to keep playing to unlock the real game or the real game experience. What you bought was what you got. Let's just take a look at some of the titles that came out during this golden era. World of Warcraft, Halo 2, Half-Life 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Guitar Hero, The Elder Scrolls 4, BioShock, Call of Duty 4, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Red Dead Redemption 1. And out of all of these games, here are the ones that had microtransactions or DLC available on day one of release. This golden era isn't just about the great titles that came out during it. It's also about the companies that we had once grown to love producing content outside of the game itself. Don't you remember some of those great commercials we had growing up?
The coffin was empty.
Why was the coffin empty?
No Spartan could be listed as KIA. They could only be listed as MIA, missing. So it could be said, but no Spartan was ever killed in combat.
Mr. T has the greatest hair in the world. You can't deny it. It's been proven by science, fool. Now you can have the greatest hair in the world of Warcraft with the Mohawk grenade. Yeah, wherever I go, I'm making Warcraft awesome.
And this golden era really isn't just defined by commercials or, the titles themselves. What it is this golden era is one of the few times we see the gaming industry take a massive shift towards massive interconnected communities and focusing just on online play. I'm pretty sure most of you as viewers, some of your fondest memories playing video games growing up might have been in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby.
Fucking idiot. After a time, I'm gonna figure out what you're doing when you keep going to the same fucking location over and over again, you fucking retard. Dude.
A Halo 3 or maybe even a Battlefield lobby with your friends up until 3 in the morning, talking the craziest amounts of shit, but you're just chasing wins. You're having a good time. You're not focused on getting the newest skin, on completing a battle pass in 90 days. You're just focused on the game. I can't tell you how many times during grade school when my computer teacher was trying to give us a lesson in typing, I was on the under end of that computer, sitting in Lumbridge, grinding copper and tin, trying to make as many bronze bars as I can, because I thought full bronze would have been really cool to look at. But looking back, the golden era wasn't just about great games, commercials, online play with your friends. It was about the games. Titles always launched fully finished, packed with content, and ready to be played the moment you got home in front of your console or PC. Going gold actually wasn't some big marketing milestone back then. It was just the expectation. No day one patches, no battle passes, no pre-order bonuses, locking away content that should have been there from the start. But more importantly, the golden era was a time when developers put their players first. Studios like Blizzard, Bungie, Valve weren't focused on squeezing every last dollar out of you. They were focused on making experiences that stuck with you for a lifetime. Gaming felt like a passion project and not just a cash grab. But as the industry evolved, so did its priorities. As the golden era of gaming came to an end, a new one began. And unfortunately, this one wasn't defined by innovation or creativity, but it was just defined by corporate greed and profit-driven tactics. The days of buying a full game and enjoying everything it had to offer were quickly fading. Instead, publishers and developers now found new ways to squeeze almost every last dollar out of you on day one. At first, this kind of all just started out small. Cosmetic microtransactions, optional DLCs, optional in-game purchases, but soon gaming became a business-first, player-second industry. Loot boxes were practically turning our online games into virtual casinos, battle passes and live services replaced traditional in-game progression, and fully priced games launched entirely incomplete, only for developers and publishers to sell the players the missing pieces at a later time. If you've made it to this point in the video, you definitely remember seeing this meme at some point in your life, and I definitely know you've seen it if you're pushing 30 just like me. The great part about this meme is it perfectly summarizes what was going on during the monetization era. Back then, during the golden era, you had an experience that was great at filling you up, and anything else was just an expansion pack. It wasn't necessary to fulfill the overall experience. But now, and especially during the monetization era, developers and publishers figured out a way to nickel and dime us every step of the way during that game's lifetime. They wanted their investment up front. The developers pretty much gave us a blank canvas and said, hey, listen, if you buy all the supplies for us, we promise we'll give you a really great art piece. Sometimes it was great, most of the times it wasn't. Now, towards the end of this era, there's one game that stood amongst all of its peers. One game that completely changed the way developers and publishers look to make money on video games. And that game was Fortnite. Before Fortnite was number one, microtransactions were still relatively small. Optional cosmetics, more DLC packs than what was usually given, and optional currency. But Fortnite didn't just sell their cosmetics. They completed a whole new business model, and that business model was turn trendy and FOMO into genres for gaming. And because of Fortnite's wild success, not only just amongst gamers, but amongst content creators and their return on their investment for their battle pass, games were no longer built around a one-time purchase. That time was officially done. Games were now designed to keep players spending season after season, battle pass after battle pass. Fortnite's success proved that players would not just pay for skins. They would pay for the ability to stay trendy and not miss out on anything. And once those floodgates opened, there was no turning back. This is the era developers completely stopped listening to their communities. Instead of giving players what they actually wanted, studios started telling us what we liked, pushing forced trends, unnecessary reboots, and unwanted mechanics just to fit into the live service mold. The focus wasn't creating beloved games anymore. It was on engagement metrics, retention strategies, and maximizing their profit. Games were no longer one-time experiences. You were being sold a subscription. You know, while making this video, I definitely wanted to see what some of the top online games being played right now. And I really wasn't surprised when these were the titles that came up, but they all have a few things in common. They all offer battle passes. They all are free to play. With traditional titles becoming more and more unjustifiably expensive, not every player has $70 to spend on new titles just for a short content burst. They'd rather spend that $70 over the course of a few months playing games that are widely popular amongst their peers and content creators. It always surprises me that I could walk into a GameStop today, ask for a couple copies of some great games, and I'm going to be quoted a $70 price tag for each of these games. I definitely want to know at what point did video games and the community and any gamer out there became comfortable with raising prices when the demand for physical copies has been doing nothing but dropping. I always thought that the reason we paid a little bit more was for the shelf space, was for the physical disc, but digital copies are kind of the norm now, and with subscription-based models, people are kind of buying that. I really want to know whose great idea it was to think that, you know, gamers really don't want to just own games anymore. But yeah, that's right. The developers and the publishers are thinking that. You know, guys, as gamers, we really need to know that the developers and the publishers know what we want best. They know exactly what gamers are looking for these days.
Do you guys not have That's why we recruited her.
Actually, Tosh uses them for themselves now.
And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
I just moved shit with my mind.
I just keep hearing I.
I just moved shit with my freaking mind!
The black kid dresses like a writer. Does he know anything?
You are racist.
You know, I may be one of the few to admit it, but some of these subscription models, especially Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, offer huge benefits to gamers and allow gamers to really play a massive catalog of games without spending hundreds of dollars. Here are just a few games you can play on PlayStation Plus and Xbox Game Pass that require just a less than $20 commitment for the month. So thinking like a first-time gamer, someone who really uses GameStop and not comfortable buying games off G2A or Humble Bundle or anything like that, I went ahead and looked up these games and what they're offered for this moment at GameStop. And this is the price I got. This price is almost a year of dual membership to both PSN subscription and Xbox Game Pass, instead of just buying these games outright. It's no wonder that subscription-based models are becoming so popular. Game developers are overcharging us for their own games, so we'd rather just rent them instead of buying them.
I can't believe it's all over. What do we do now? What do you mean?
You know, it definitely is sad, but there really is no signs that the gaming industry is going to try to go back to the ways things were during the golden era. It seems that live service and monetization is just, you know, the main reason for development now. And of course, there's always going to be exceptions to those rules, and we have some great games that have come out in the past few years, and those developers have stood against the narrative.
Studio made their game because they wanted to make a game that they wanted to play themselves. They created it because it hadn't been created before. They didn't make it to increase market share. They didn't make it to serve as a brand. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. And furthermore, the people in charge forbade them from cramming the game with anything whose only purpose was to increase revenue and didn't serve the game design.
But the real question is, are games going to keep increasing in price? And the unfortunate answer is, most likely. With GTA 6 coming out soon, it's probably going to be a $90 to $100 game based off some speculations we've seen so far. And the real question is, at the end of the day, is as gamers, how do we stop these developers from doing it? And the answer is pretty simple. You do. As long as we stop buying these games and we stop rewarding these developers and publishers for these horrible antics and their strategies, they're not going to be able to develop anymore. As gamers, we have the unique ability to choose what we want to buy. Always remember that fear of missing out or trending are not genres. That's all they are, is marketing tactics.
You're right.
You really need to subscribe.
Patrick, say that again.
Follow on Twitch.
No, the other thing.
Leave a comment and thumbs up.
What you said before when
Go ahead and share the video.